Hey, you're listening to My Non-Objective Opinion on People's Radio United. I'm Tim Best Buzz. Today we're joined by OpStopSuicide for the second time. And I guess we're going to start off with a recap of last show we did about a year and a half ago with OpStopSuicide. So how are you doing today?
Hello, Tim. Thank you for having us back.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, let's start off, like I said, with a recap of the last show we did a while back. Just tell us about OpStopSuicide, what it is, how it started, and whatever you think's relevant to that.
Sure, thank you. Operation Stop Suicide was started almost 5 years ago. The particular operation was created because certain members of the activist community really had nobody to go to. If they were feeling depressed, if they were suicidal. I mean, there wasn't really anybody at that time within their own grouping that they would be able to go to that they knew that they could go, that they can count on to keep information just quiet between them. I mean, kind of like in the U.S., you have HIPAA regulations for doctor-patient confidentiality. A lot of times when it was involved with activism, they would kind of forego that. So we created our own group, even based within part of the anonymous collective, because of some of the things that we had seen in the past, even with our own members. Some people were struggling with drugs and depression at the time. A few of our founding members were struggling with it. However, we've discovered that over the years, working with each other, basically not only just working with each other, but working with some of the newer people, some of the older people out there, we've all been able to find more productive outlets towards, instead of personal self-destruction, either personal reconstruction or essentially just redirecting the energies towards something positive.
That's cool. So what does OpStopSuicide do? Like, how do you find people that need help, and how do you help them once you locate them and who they are?
Well, some people are essentially mentioned, for instance, on Twitter. You can find some people are being having their profile hashtagged with hashtag suicide alert or hashtag self-harm alert. Those particular people are being referred by other Twitter users to some of the people that are watching the accounts and specifically looking for those hashtags to try to help others. There are also some that are referred directly to Operation Stop Suicide, either by hashtag or by using the @ for @OpStopSuicide. Typically, some people will be referred to a specific post from the operation. Sometimes, and we seriously hope that a lot of people do this more in the future, that people grab the links that we have up on the timeline. They come up every Saturday. Not every Saturday, every Sunday, sometimes Saturday evenings, where we provide a list of global phone lines and web chats for different help organizations. We're actually currently creating an interactive list for those who are within the UK, for representatives within Mind. Some of you know who they are. For those of you that don't know, Mind is a mental health organization within the United Kingdom. We actually have a listing of well over 100 different referral partners and therapists as well as psychiatrists that work with our operation now that will aid in whatever way possible of getting whatever mental health or whatever mental help you need possible.
That's really great. So you said you had other therapists and psychiatrists that are working with you. Are they all through Mind, or are they from other organizations as well?
We've actually started working with other organizations as well. One of them we are currently not able to discuss exactly what group they are. However, we can say that some information is up and coming on them. But we do have a grouping of therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists that work with us now towards different referral programs within different countries, and we are expanding that list as quickly as possible and trying to see about getting everybody the help that they need or help that they were looking for but couldn't take care of themselves.
Cool. So hopefully, yeah, you'll have people in the UK as well as the US soon, and everybody who needs help can get it a lot easier than before. Um, so something we didn't really do last time um, was talk about somebody who is actually suicidal. Like say you get a DM, or you see something in a timeline on social media, or I don't know, maybe even a phone call or however it works. But you hear somebody suicidal, you don't really know this person. Like what should you do to go about helping and without hurting the situation more?
Well, even if you do or don't know the person, or you barely even know them at all, one of the things that you could always do is just be honest and open with them. If you find, like, let's say, for instance, we're going to go back to Twitter again. Let's say on Twitter they're posting about self-harm, they're wanting to kill themselves that night or that day. Message them. Let them know that even if you don't know the exact circumstances or you're not exactly sure how to act, message them. Let them know, well, I understand. I mean, I can understand how you might end up feeling that way. I mean, I don't know the exact situation or exactly ways of dealing with it, but if you want somebody to talk to, I'm here for you. Get them to open up, and you'd be surprised. A lot of times, if somebody's feeling suicidal or wants to commit self-harm, sometimes just talking about everything, even to a complete and total stranger, can make a world of difference to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I mean,
notice that a lot. Sometimes people just need to know people care. Like, just I've seen a few cases where people just wanted somebody to say, "Don't do it," and those are the easy ones, I guess. But then there's a lot that are, of situations that are a lot tougher, where people are suicidal almost daily sometimes. And
uh,
I know you guys deal with that all the time. That's got to be hard on you guys. How do you deal with self care for yourself and the other members of OpStopSuicide, dealing with hurting people every day that might, set them off emotionally or draining? It could be really draining or something, because this is a constant thing. People are always
well,
in pain.
well, it's actually one of the things that some members of the operation have been dealing with for a while. Sometimes we'll talk to each other at the end of the day. Um, Myself and quite a few others have actually been doing something that we'd actually like to recommend to people. Uh, Basically, if you find at least one person that you're, oh, hang on. If you find at least one person that you can confide in, like
Yeah.
somebody that you know that you could talk to, what you should do is just at the end of the day, the two of you or the group of you, just say something that happened good during the day. Like the best part of my day today was I didn't think about doing this.
So just kind of give everybody a end of the day on a positive note, and they'll do the
Yes,
same for you, and it hopefully lift
sometimes just
spirits. Go ahead.
sometimes ending the day on a positive note ends up changing the entire morning the next day.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you end the day on a horrible, miserable, sad, depressed note, the next day's
Yeah,
not going to get any better on its own, right?
exactly. Even just writing it down for yourself. Like if there isn't someone that you feel like you can talk to specifically, just write it down. Like the end of my day today was good because of, and put down a reason why.
Yeah, then after so many days,
And
you can go back
even
and look at
post
those.
even post it up on social media. Like today was a good day because um, okay, one thing, I found my favorite socks.
Yeah, very simple things that
Just
just,
even
yeah.
just the little things. Sometimes just remembering that one small thing for the day can end up altering everything for the entire night and the morning.
Yeah. What do you think drives people to commit suicide? Is it just mental illness and depression, or is it a spur of the moment kind of thing? Because I mean, we see people like really rich and famous people, where some people be like, "Oh, I would love to have their lives," and they kill themselves. Then you also have poor people whose lives are pretty horrible, and they kill themselves. And then you have people, of course, being tortured, like Aaron Swartz or something, who kill themselves. It's just like there's so many different reasons. But what do you guys see as like a prominent theme between people? Like something I know we said before, there's not anything one thing you could look for, but we were
No, it
talking about
isn't.
signs. What I'm saying, what about maybe in someone's behavior or leading up to it or something, even within a month before, weeks before, if anything. I'm just asking.
Sometimes every case is a little bit different. I mean, it's kind of hard to pin down exactly 100% signs of someone being suicidal. I mean, take a look at Robin Williams. One of the famous examples is Robin Williams. Uh, One of the funniest people in the world,
Yeah.
but also extremely depressed, had been for many years. I mean, his main way of coping was making everybody laugh whenever he could, because it actually made him feel a little bit better whenever he made them laugh. It would make him laugh inside also.
Yeah, I
But
know. Oh,
after
go
a
ahead.
certain point, that laughter is not there, and you're left with yourself, and you wonder, okay, well, what exactly is going on inside my mind? Why exactly am I feeling like this? And you go through the recursive loop over and over and over again of the what ifs, what should be's, what could be's, the whys, why nots, and it becomes overwhelming after a while.
Do you think some of this comes from people thinking that they're less than others, or their life sucks worse because so many people are pretending to be something they're not nowadays because of
But
social media and whatever? They're
I'm
like,
glad that you
"Oh,
touched on that. I'm glad that you touched on that because it's actually gotten worse in the social media age because you see all these pictures of all these famous people. Like for women, you see famous models that are constantly up there. This is the body type that you're supposed to have. No, if you actually saw the person in real life, you would see that that entire picture is photoshopped like hell, even against the person's wishes. But because it was part of the ad campaign, the company had to say so. So you're supposed to have the thin spo. No. Uh, your ass is only supposed to be this big. No. You should be able to wrap your hand around your thigh. No. I mean, they give all these unrealistic expectations, like for both men and women, and they expect everybody to be happy-go-lucky when they see these pictures and get depressed about themselves because they can't be that person that they just saw in the ad.
yeah." People need to
I
learn
mean,
that we're all good for different reasons.
yeah.
And
I mean,
and a lot of people, especially, I mean, I see so many people depressed because you got all these people on social media taking pictures with this car that costs so much, or goals, and then they got all this money in their hands. It's like And then they're like, how come I'm not living like that? And they don't realize a lot of that's just pretend. Those same pictures are passed around so many times if they do Google searches of them.
Oh,
And the other ones that
it's
aren't are a minority.
just so that way everybody knows. Everything that you've seen on Facebook or Twitter is a repost of a repost of a repost from Reddit or possibly 4chan. A lot of these things have been seen by everybody multiple times before you even saw it, what you think might be the first time.
Yeah, it's just really weird. It's almost like people are shaming themselves for being human and living a normal life nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing that anybody could do right now, live life for themselves. It doesn't matter what anybody else. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks how you should live your life. The important part is that you live it.
Yeah, just be yourself. Do what
Exactly.
you do, and don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Don't worry about what anyone else is saying. Here's a question I had. Because what you just said a couple minutes ago made me think. Most of the things you were saying, as you said, it goes for men as well, but realistically, most of those things are what women care more about. So I've heard, if this is true, that I know Native people are like really really high on the suicide list, as well as transgendered people and some other groups. Are women higher than men, or is it pretty much just is that not the case?
Advertising wise, like in the advertising world,
No, no, I'm saying. Oh, I'm
no,
sorry.
I'm
Okay, go
like
ahead.
suicides, eating disorders, and depression based off of advertising.
Oh, okay.
They mostly target women for that. Like they're mostly targeting women, transgender, basically for those specific things. Like this is the way that you are supposed to look. Yes, you sitting on the other side of this TV screen. This is the way that you're supposed to look. And then you look at yourself and you go, okay, I don't look anything remotely like that. I should start being like that. It keeps going through your mind over and over and over again. For instance, I'm dealing with somebody that's actually pointed to a couple of specific commercials that led them towards their eating disorders.
Wow. And nobody will ever be held accountable for that.
No, because it's advertising. It's advertising for a product. And one of the two people that I've been talking to that's been blaming advertising for the way that they feel about themselves is a man.
Wow.
Sometimes sees some of the jockey shorts commercials and sees rippled abs. I'm sorry. Rippled abs don't always exist like that.
I'm gonna be honest. I have rippled abs under a layer of fat.
You have rippled abs. You have a six-pack underneath a keg.
There you go.
But it's a very beautiful keg, by the way.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just that's just I'm like, wow. So it's not really discriminatory between men and women, just different groups who are more marginalized. Like I know Native people, because of how they're treated and looked at and what they have to hear about their own people, all the lies.
Yeah, I mean,
And stuff like that. That's a different reason than just I don't fit what I think I should look like, or I don't fit the social status I want to be in.
yeah, I mean, in schools on reservations, they're getting U.S. history books that are extremely tainted, completely against everything within their tribe's history. Basically,
Yeah.
going, oh well, this particular group of Indians. Okay, I'm sorry, I hate using that word, but this particular group, they attacked a group of settlers. No, it was actually the reverse in most cases.
Yeah. And not to mention it refers to them as savages and all kinds of other horrible things.
And the one thing that, like myself personally, have learned about a lot of the indigenous groups, they were nowhere even close to savages. In fact, the most savage people that they met were people that were coming into their tribes bearing a cross.
Yeah, the savage
They
gets a
were
holiday. Um, yeah, it's just horrible. I mean, but all this stuff leads to people having a lower opinion of themselves, um, an unjustified lower opinion of themselves is pushed on by society or advertisers, and it gets them to hate what they are so much, or hate the status, or hate the way they look, to the point where they're really just willing to end their lives for it all because they think they're that much less and lower than other people. And that's just a disgust. I mean, that needs to be wiped out of society somehow.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that also brings us into something else. Um, Basically, making people feel lower than they actually are is one of the main things about this game that all of us have heard about called Blue Whale.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah.
Blue Whale thrives on making somebody feel like they are not in control of themselves and that they have to give up their own control to somebody else.
But real quick, can you explain for the people who don't know what the blue whale challenge thing is and how horrible it is?
Oh, okay. The
Just
Blue Whale,
briefly. I don't want to give them a
yes,
lot of.
yeah. The Blue Whale Challenge, typically, it's a supposed game, which, if anybody does any research on it, they will find that it is not a game. Essentially, what it is you're reaching out to somebody called a controller who will ask you to do 50 different things. During this time, the first 25 or so will seem completely just mundane. Those are just testing to see if you're willing to keep going. As you get closer and closer to the end, it really is the end. Because one of the last things that they will ask of you is to kill yourself. And there have been over 183 deaths just related to this game alone. And that's been within the last few months.
I see it pop up on social media a lot, and nobody seems to block it. Twitter doesn't seem to care. Say Serena Shim, oh my God, it's a tragedy, but Blue Whale Challenge seems to be something Twitter's just fine with. Another one of those things that doesn't get censored that I believe should.
Twitter actually has been getting better on that. Twitter, Facebook, and a couple of other social media have actually been teaming up and sharing hashtags that they've seen specifically related to Blue Whale. And this is something that we've seen, and honestly, we're actually glad that they're doing.
Yeah.
They've been specifically attacking and shutting down accounts with specific hashtags, or that keep posting specific hashtags or have specific wordings in them. For instance, BW Controller. That's a Blue Whale Controller account.
So,
there have been quite a large number of them within the last few months that have been taken out completely by Twitter.
Yeah, well, that brings me to another question. I've seen horrible things online, and I know things happen to a lot of kids offline as well, at school or even just people at work or wherever. As far as bullying, like I've literally seen people that are still on Twitter. I'm not gonna say her name on here, but everyone probably knows what I'm talking about. I've seen her drive people to literally kill themselves. And there's like these trolls that they get off on doing that kind of stuff to people they don't like. Just torture them. And if that person has like a mental illness or something, they get all in there. They social engineer them from other accounts, make them believe they're friends, and get all this personal information, use it against them, and with the main goal of making them kill themselves. And that's extreme, but I'm saying just like a kid being bullied at school every day for whatever reason, or because honestly, I'm like, online bullying is horrible, but you could always just shut the account down, turn it off. You know what I mean? Unless they're really attacking you, like getting into your computers and stuff. And sometimes you have to just wipe that out to get rid of that. But it could go away eventually. But in real life, say you have to go to school, you have to go to work, and people are just railing on these kids or whatever. It's probably really, really, really hard to deal with for a lot of people. And I know for a fact I've seen that leads to suicide at times. Is that like a real common thing, or is it not as common as I believe it might be?
No, actually, I think it's a little bit more common than you think it is.
Oh, wow. How do you deal with that? Because you're talking to somebody who's going to have to go get bullied again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Some of these people are even bullied at home.
Again, sometimes it's about finding that one outlet, that one thing or that one good thing during the day. I mean, sometimes it could be just helping a complete and total stranger out.
Yeah. Helping people always makes me feel better when you can help somebody else. Just kind of like therapeutic, I think.
No, it actually really is.
Yeah, I mean, if some of these suicidal people, I believe that if some of these suicidal people could get past these feelings and overcome it for the most part, even though it'll probably come back again, but if they can learn to beat it, they could really help other people more than most, because they know exactly what it feels like and what these people are going through. I know OpStopSuicide is made up of people like that, or has quite a few of them involved, correct?
Oh, yes. The vast majority of Operation Stop Suicide involves people that have basically have clinical depression, have been suicidal, have had drug issues. I mean, we have transgenders, we have lesbians, we have gays, we have pansexuals, we have practically everybody. We have a nice mix of everybody that's basically, essentially, what modern society would consider some form of wrong.
Some form of wrong.
But some form of, there's something seriously wrong with this person. Here's the thing. A lot of times there isn't anything wrong with them. It's just what's wrong with society and the way that society views them.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you could choose to think you're crazy for being a little different, or you can say maybe society's crazy for not just saying, oh, this is a little different, so what? We're all a little different.
That's one of the things that makes all of us unique. Everybody's a little bit different. If we were all just machined, if we all came out of a factory, I mean, things would be a little bit different, but we don't.
I know. Everybody hates me, and what would it be like if you were all just like me? It would suck.
Oh, not everybody.
No, I know. I've had some people that were less than fans recently, as I'm sure you know.
Well, they don't know what they're missing.
Yeah. I had a question. Now we got sidetracked on this tangent. Oh yeah, have you ever dealt with somebody that's obstinate, that doesn't want your help? And if so, do you stop helping, or what avenues do you use to try to make sure they don't kill themselves?
Well,
Hello?
sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Didn't want to blow your eardrums out.
Okay. Were you able to hear my question?
Oh, no, I heard your question.
Oh, okay.
There actually are some cases where we've tried helping somebody and they've said, no, I don't want any help. I don't want anybody to talk to me about this. Well, sometimes we've actually tried to keep an eye on them. Just look for any additional signs, anything else that might cause another alarm going off. Somebody, like sometimes a couple of them, their friends have pointed us in their direction, or their friends have pointed them in our direction. Basically, just trying to get them help, and then sometimes they just outright refuse to listen to anybody except for themselves. So sometimes we have to let them know that if there's somebody that you want to talk to about anything, we'll be there for you. If you ever need us, if you ever want us to, we will be there. And sometimes even a few days, even a few cases of a few months after we've talked with the person, they've opened back up and just asked if we were still there, and they said that they wanted to talk because us just reaching out to them and just saying, if you need us, we're going to be here for you in whatever way we can. It just gives them that little bit sometimes to just hang on. And then they end up coming over and they end up talking, telling us exactly what happened. Or just even being extremely vague telling us what happened.
Yeah, well, it's good when they do come back or get help however they get it.
Oh, yes.
So here's something. We talked a lot about online stuff, and I know we touched on this the last show, and I know what your answer was, but for people who may not have heard it, I want to go back over it on this show. We talked about, like I said, I've had some friends in real life who've killed themselves, and it's really tragic, and it destroys families and friends and everything else, just devastates people. But what, like for your friends and family and people you're around a lot, co-workers, people at school, wherever you're at, maybe just somebody you meet one day, how are there any kind of things that would be a giveaway short of somebody saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to kill myself soon"? That someone could look for that would show a concern or raise an alarm or something?
Sometimes there are. I mean, a lot of times it's extremely subtle. Like, let's say the person is constantly trying to fit in with everybody, and then all of a sudden they just stop. Just out of nowhere. They don't try to socialize with anyone. I mean,
So would you say
even before, like, as it's getting to, when it gets to that point, you need to make sure that you or somebody else is there to just ask them if everything is all right and if they want to talk about it. Whether it's online or in real life, just being there for somebody sometimes makes a world of difference.
So you're saying a change in character or just the seclusion alone?
I'd say a combination of both.
Okay. But so secluding yourself from others is a big one.
It's definitely a big one.
Yeah, I mean, but people like me do that naturally, and it's not just a suicidal thing. It's just seclusion is good sometimes. So yeah, just if somebody's antisocial, it doesn't necessarily mean they're suicidal. But I guess if they're not normally antisocial or get
Yeah,
even more
if there's like a
antisocial,
personality switch at a whim,
yeah.
going almost immediately towards the negative, you definitely have to wonder about it, and you need to ask them some questions. Or also it could be the other way around. It could be somebody that was extremely antisocial and then all of a sudden hypersocial.
Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was gonna
Yes.
say I know my friend who killed the last person I knew who killed themselves. Super happy, all all week up to that, like, was like just saying, "Oh man, life is so good. I made so much money. We're making plans for the next week." And there was like really no signs. But then later we found out there was a lot of little things that people were all feeling guilty for when they said to them. So I think maybe a lot of little things add up sometimes, and people just crack. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, it just seemed like later looking back, it was just like a straight month of minor setbacks and minor bad things. But all in all, it was good. But these little minor things are things I happen to know are really, really important to him. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Sometimes, like you were saying, sometimes the little things end up adding up. Sometimes they end up going beyond our control, and they feel too heavy for us, for the person to carry.
wow, it's so sad. So for the other people out here listening, what and say they want to get involved with OpStopSuicide. Yeah, let's start with that. Say they want to get involved with OpStopSuicide or help out. What would they do on the OpStopSuicide thing? The second question I was going to ask is what can they do if they just want to help people without being involved with OpStopSuicide? Maybe you could answer that like a two-part kind of question.
Well, actually, I'm going to start that off with a one-part answer and then split
Okay,
it.
cool.
For either way, take a look at some of the links up on the Twitter feed for Operation Stop Suicide. The pinned link has a listing of different 800 numbers for multiple countries, multiple helplines, multiple ways of dealing with depression, different ways of dealing with self-harm. We've been expanding on that listing as much as possible. Whether you live behind the mask or do not have the mask, whether you're an activist, a slacktivist, or just a norm, all that information right there is for you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you do. Everything is out there for you to be able to take a look at. Some of our material we've been updating constantly. Different ways of, different helpful hints, different ways of seeing how people with mental illness feel sometimes about the way, like their illness itself. Like anxiety, depression, how it could end up weighing, how it feels like it weighs down on them. So it can give you a few little hints as to how they feel about it. And based off of that, it can actually give you more ways of figuring out ways of helping them. For those that want to get involved with the operation directly, put up hashtag OpStopSuicide on your profile. It marks you off as a person to contact, a person to speak with. Even if you're new to the internet and you want to do something to try to help at least one person out, even in your entire time that you're online. Sometimes just helping one person changes everything. Because you never know. That person that you help, hey, for all you know, they could be the person that finds the cure for cancer.
Or they could just be a person that saves one more life. Either way.
Exactly.
Either way,
Exactly.
It's a good thing.
And if you don't want to get involved with the operation, okay. Same goes for you. You don't have to put up the hashtag OpStopSuicide on your account. Just be there for somebody. If you see somebody putting up postings or somebody talking about, well, I'm thinking about killing myself, talk to them. Let them know that you're there. I mean, give them a unbiased person to speak with. I mean, somebody that way they can get their feelings off their chest, and that way they could just discuss they can find a way of being safe, even around complete and total strangers. I mean, granted, agoraphobics are a little bit harder to talk with, but it can be done.
Yeah, and you may make a new friend. I mean, I've met some people through OpStopSuicide that are really, really awesome people, and they're still alive, which is great, and they're good friends. They're people I talk to like at least weekly or a couple times a week, and that's a lot for me because, like I said, I'm antisocial.
I wouldn't
But
say that you're antisocial.
yeah, I'm just different. But I'm saying, I mean, you can meet a lot of people and work with them to help other people. And I mean, what else is there? If we're not helping people, what purpose do we really have? That's just kind of what we need to be doing, especially these days and times. Um, so yeah, I don't. Did we miss anything? Is there anything you want to go over that we missed or we didn't say?
Well,
I
actually, that kind of led into something else.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, One of the groups that actually follows Operation Stop Suicide passed on a little something that, if you don't mind, we'd actually like to end this particular show with,
Of
because
course,
it's something that would be perfect for it.
of course.
At the end of the day, whoever you lack, whatever is being whatever is being sold to you that you can't afford, emotionally, financially, or spiritually, the only person or thing that you truly cannot live without is yourself. People are out there. Love yourself, love one another, and reach out. And that is from our friends at Team Denmom.
We love Team Denmom. People's Radio loves Team Denmom. um, yeah, so that was a great way to end it. I want to just say thank you for doing this show again. I'm hoping people actually get involved and help and save a life
Well, again, thank you for having us on your show.
anytime. I'll talk to you soon.